So, hello, welcome to the YouTube channel Vue sur le Jazz International. Today I'm hosting the American singer Carmen Bradford and my friend Gilda Sol from California and from Paris since many years, for many years. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Gilda and I had the pleasure of to listen to you at the International Jazz Education Network conference in early January 2024. It was amazing.
You mean in New Orleans?
In New
In
Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yes, yes.
So let's talk about your jazz family and the spirit at home when you was young. So Gilda, if you want to ask the first question,
Well, that's
Carmen.
That's basically it. I know that you come from a very musical family. So my first question was, what was it like to be? I was also in a musical family. So what was it? What was it like at your house? Like, what did everybody play instruments? Did everybody sing? Did it? What was it like?
I grew up in Altadena, California, and both my parents. My mother is jazz vocalist Melba Joyce. My father is jazz flugelhornist Bobby Bradford. And I grew up in a really normal household, normal for me. You know what I mean? What was normal for me. And it seemed like we were like any other family in our neighborhood, middle class family, growing up in a beautiful community, surrounded by music. But, my parents, I'd hear my dad practicing in the mirror, and my mother would sing, and she played a lot of jazz on Saturday mornings when I was doing my chores. But I grew up loving R&B music, Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight, The Temptations, the Four Tops, Stevie Wonder, just the whole Motown sound I grew up with, and only really listened to jazz on Saturday mornings when I was doing my chores.
I love it.
We say sometimes that jazz is a teacher, but gospel is a preacher, and maybe the Motown is a spirit too.
Well,
Absolutely.
what Quincy Jones says is, and I say this very often, is same church, different pew.
That's
Nice.
it. Super.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Oh, just a question. At the beginning, when you was young, singing jazz was essential for you, or you did also have a desire to sing other styles of music? Because jazz was very present in your house.
Well, it was very present in my house, but I didn't have any interest in singing jazz. R&B was my love, and it's still my love. You know what I mean? I really didn't discover. I did not discover Billie Holiday and Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald. I didn't decide that they could sing until I was about 16.
Right.
So, my ears just were not ready to receive that. It's not that my parents shoved jazz down my throat in any way, because they did not. But something changed when I turned about 16, and I happened to be in my dad's home office, and I put on a Billie Holiday album of his and that he had in his library, and I thought, wow, she's got something special. And that's when I decided she could sing.
When did you decide that you wanted to sing?
No, that's when I decided she could sing.
No, I know, but when did you decide?
Well, that's when I decided. At 16, when I was listening to her,
Okay.
something changed.
Yeah.
Something changed. My ear evolved. My brain evolved. And I think I was ready to receive that music. Mm-hmm. I was ready to receive jazz at that age, and started listening like crazy to Sarah Vaughan. And
that's funny, because it's like a kind of somewhere a religion. You receive something,
Yes,
that's important, because jazz, it's a way to life for you, in fact.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And that's the reason why you smile all the time.
I smile all the time. I smile all the time because God has allowed me to wake up every day. That's why I smile every day, and I'm just excited to be awake every day and be able to meet wonderful people like yourself and listen to incredible music and continue my journey, my learning jazz journey.
When you sing, just
Mm.
before the concert,
Mhm.
do you prepare your mind? Do you have a little moment for you uh, to think to what you're gonna give to the people, to the audience?
Well, when I prepare right before I go on, there's so many years of practice. I think my concern is how do I bring more to the melody? How much more nuance will I come up with? Will my phrasing be different? Can I swing a little harder than I did the night before? And I have horrible stage fright. So the process can be very interesting. Every single night it's different. My level of fear of not getting it right is constant,
Okay,
unfortunately.
Gilda, do you have another question? We have so many questions.
No, I'm listening to that because that's a very interesting, that's a very, very interesting you would think after all these years that somehow that would go away. I'm kind of the same kind of a performer. I know. I don't know what my dad used to just always say, you sing for God. And that's a nice way to get you kind of out of the, out of the picture kind of thing. But yeah, what can you bring new? That's a whole hour of discussion, isn't it?
Yes. Well, for me, spiritually, um, I don't go out and sing without a prayer. You know, I pray all day. And I just don't go out on stage or make any moves without, even when I get out of bed, once my feet hit the floor, I'm thanking God, for waking me up, and for allowing me to go out and share this music and thanking Him for my voice, because it's not easy. I'm 63 years old and I just completed in December a 3-year, 5-month tour, which was intense. I had very few days off and I never got sick. I'm knocking on some wood right now, but I never got sick. I had a runny nose occasionally. And for me, I'm one that will get colds occasionally. But for me to be able to do that, it was nothing, nothing but God that led me
You're a
he knew
strong
that was a
woman.
tour I had
You're
to
very
complete.
strong. You're very
Yes,
strong.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Before we get to Count Basie, because we want to
Ah,
get to Count Basie,
okay.
I have just one more
Okay.
question. Is there anyone, because you were around a lot of musicians, whether it was at that point, I get what you're saying with the rhythm and blues, and before, but was there anyone that really influenced you in your early life?
Oh, my mother, for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah,
Yeah, jazz vocalist Melba Joyce,
yeah,
for sure.
she did.
Even to this day, and we sound very much alike. But my
Of course
mother
you
is
do.
a
Of
well,
course you
but my mother is a real jazz singer. I am an R&B slash jazz vocalist, but my mother is the real deal, and she's just an unbelievably incredible singer with some serious jazz chops, and everything I learned was from her.
Mm.
It's one thing to listen to the things on Saturday morning, but even now, I have a new album coming out, and I was listening to myself, and I sounded so much like my mother, and everything that I've kind of stolen from her. It was just totally her on the recording, so it'll be interesting for her to hear it.
I bet she's going to love it.
I hope so. I hope so. I
Okay.
played everything but this one tune, this one arrangement that I did, and my goodness, and I know she's going to look at me. I hope I'm in her presence when she listens to it because I know she's probably going to say, that was mine.
Okay. So Count Basie Orchestra.
Yes.
You met him at 22 when you was 22 years old.
Yes, I was a student at
This
Houston
band.
Tillotson College in Austin, Texas. It's a small it was a small black Methodist school when I attended, but it's Houston Tillotson University now. And yeah, I was a student there. I was a sophomore, and the Mr. Basie and his orchestra came to Austin, and they were performing, and the opening act for his show was a local group called Passenger. And the booking agent said to the agent that represented Count Basie, her name is Dee Askew, and she was the booking agent for the Willard Alexander Agency out of New York, who booked all of the big bands. And so they said, well, we have a local singer here, a young lady that sings really well. We'd love for her to open the show for Mr. Basie. And they said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not having some little girl that's in college here, you
Absolutely
know,
not.
some little country girl. No. But somehow they worked it out, and I opened the show. And at that time, Mr. Basie was already riding on a motorized cart because his health was being challenged at that time. And there was a gentleman traveling with him. And this particular theater didn't have an elevator at that time.
Right.
And so he wasn't able to go downstairs to his dressing room. So he was already dressed and just sat on the other side of the stage. And so I was on the opposite side of the stage. And I said, I just got my courage up. I said, I'm going over there. I'm going to say something. I'm going to say hello right now. I'm going to walk over there and I'm going to say hello to him. So I walked over to him and I said, hi, Mr. Basie. I'm Carmen Bradford, and I'm opening the show for you tonight. And I think you'd make $1 million if you'd hire me. And he said, really, $1 million? I said, oh, yes, there's nothing like having a young lady on stage in a lovely dress. I said, so will you listen to me when I go out and sing? And he paused in the strangest way, looking like he wanted to call security. But he said, sure, honey, I'll listen. I said, okay. So I went out and I did my 2 tunes, and I sang A Foggy Day and the ballad Lost in the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came back off stage and I said, well, Mr. Basie, what did you think? And he said, I'm going to hire you. I said, really? Because I can go to the dorm right now and get my trunk together with all of my clothes and stuff. I'm ready to go tonight. And he said, no, dear, but I'll be in touch. You give me your phone number and I'll be in touch with you very soon.
Wow.
And I said, well, I'm going to run to the dorm and get a cassette, because I want you to hear me. I want to keep me with you so you can listen to this occasionally. I said, but I'm singing rock and roll on it. That's when I was really into Chaka Khan at the time.
Yeah,
so
Chaka Khan.
I said, just ignore that. I said, but it still sounds like me. And he said, okay, sweetie. So I went to the dorm and came back in time for the show. I got to watch it and made sure he got the cassette. And then 9 months later, it took 9 months, but he called me back.
That's
and the story began. So after you traveled a lot, or you sung just a few times with the band, or what's happened after?
Well, what happened was when he called me, I had given myself a surprise party. And so, well, actually, my roommates, I was living in a house by that time, and I had roommates, and they were giving me a surprise party, but they were I knew about the party, and they were going to use paper plates and paper cups. And I said, no, I'll take it from here. So I just acted surprised at the party and served crystal and china, as it should be. But when I was blowing out my candles, I said, oh, God, please let Count Basie call me tomorrow. And then I just kind of forgot about it, And I was leaving the next day to do a concert in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And when I was opening the car door, my roommate came out of the house and said, there's some old man on the phone. And I thought it was my grandfather calling, also a big band singer, by the way. His name is Melvin Moore. He sang with Dizzy's band in the 40s and had a hit called Love Me Pretty Baby. Oh. But anyway, back to this. So I ran in because I thought it was my grandfather. And I said, hello. And he said, "Is this the little girl that wants to work with me? This is Mr. Basie." And I said, "Is this Otis?" And he said, "Otis, no, no, this is Mr. Basie." I said, "Otis, don't play on the phone. This is a friend of mine, right?"
Right.
And so I said, "I've been waiting for Count Basie to call me. Don't play on the phone." And I hung up the phone.
And he called back.
He called back after I had gone back out to the car. And he said, "Now listen here. This is really Mr. Basie. Are you the little girl? Because if you're not, I'm going to call another little girl." I said, "I'm the little girl. Yes. Hi, Mr. Basie."
Oh, that's a really, really nice story. Huh? That's unbelievable. Wow, wow,
Yeah,
wow.
it was pretty sweet.
Okay,
But yeah, it took a while. It took a while for my arrangements to be written, about three weeks. So I just watched the show every night.
You went on tour with them.
Oh, yes.
You went on tour with them and they wrote your arrangements.
Yes. Eric Dixon and Dennis Wilson wrote my first 2 arrangements. So that's all I started with, was 2. And Dennis Rowland was the singer at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your life changed completely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In so many ways. He shot me out of a cannon career-wise,
Yeah.
At 23 years old, I was the vocalist with the Count Basie Orchestra, with Mr. Basie and his orchestra.
Right.
And the ambience was the spirit was very cool. The ambience with the musicians and for the rehearsal, for everything.
Well, here's what happened. When I joined them on that following Friday, there was no airline ticket for me. They forgot to book a ticket for me, but my friends went with me to the airport and bought me a round trip ticket, my classmates, which was so sweet. And so when I arrived at the hotel, I was registered. I had a reservation, including the orchestra, but they had not arrived yet. So when they did arrive, I just assumed that they were going to all show up in separate limousines. Young and foolish, right? So the bus showed up and it was old and funky, and a bunch of old Black gentlemen got off the bus, and I ran downstairs and said hello and said, "Mr. Basie, hi, I'm here." And he said, "Yes, you are."
So no more turn for you. Only jazz and swing with Count Basie Orchestra.
Well, let me just say to you that when we got on the bus last, and he introduced me to the guys in the band, and he said, "Gentlemen, this is our new little girl, Carmen." And then he said, "What's your name, honey?" I said, "Carmen." You have to remember, he was up in age, right?
Yeah, right.
So they all said hello, and then he threatened them. He said, "Don't even think about it." And then I took my seat on the bus, and then that night we performed with Tony Bennett.
Oh, wow.
They performed with Tony Bennett. And then the night after that, they performed with Sarah Vaughan for 2 nights. So that's how my career started.
It is heavy. How wonderful. What a great way to learn, right? You were just listening.
Unbelievable. I did not sing with Sarah Vaughan, to answer your question. I opened the show for Sarah Vaughan.
Opened the show. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
The entire second half of the show was always Miss Vaughan, of course. Mm-hmm. And opened for Mr. Bennett, opened for Frank Sinatra, opened for Carmen McRae, opened for Ella Fitzgerald, you name it.
Mm-hmm. You spoke to her. You spoke with Ella Fitzgerald. Yes, you spoke with her.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, on more than one occasion.
She was very, very kind, very humble.
She was lovely to me. And when I recorded Mr. Paganini, she was so very, very kind to me. And my manager and I made sure that she received my album that I recorded when I did that album, and I paid tribute to her. I dedicated it to her. And after she passed away, I had gone to the estate sale because Carmen Lundy called me, telling me to get there urgently, and went to her home in Beverly Hills and took me upstairs and pointed to Ella's bedside table. And my CD was on her bedside table. And my CD was inside her little singular holding boombox. And I just fell out on her bed and cried so hard.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's a
So
beautiful story.
she was listening. That meant she was listening to me at the end of her life. That's what that means, And
well, I'm getting my question. My major question was I wanted to hear 2 or 3 Basie stories. So it's a good thing I didn't say anything because you're telling them is what's going on. I kind of want to go back to the opening acts because over in France, in Europe, it's kind of they usually do not want a singer to open for another singer. So I'm wondering, I've basically done my career here. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of wondering, you were opening for all of these major vedettes. I mean, was that ever a problem, or was that not a problem because
I don't recall it being a problem.
It was never a problem.
Never. Everybody was so loving. Nancy Wilson and Joe Williams, and no, they were always so very, very supportive, of me, always, and always offered me great information. We had always had great talks, even Frank Sinatra. I mean, just very, very loving, and always wanted to know, what arrangements, who were my arrangers and what tunes I was singing. The only thing I regret about being with those people is that I never asked them, what should I be doing with my money?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I hear you.
This is very serious. And, I just regret not asking them, how much of my paycheck should I be saving? Do you think I should be investing in anything? Do you think I should try to purchase a home at this young stage in my life? What do you think I should be doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? I really regret that because I never asked any of them about that. If they were alive now, I would. I mean, it's just very real. This is business. You know what I mean? This is a business. Yes, I love to sing and they loved it too, but everybody, it's just part of it.
I saw that you met now the new generation, Kurt Helling, Turney Sutton, with a big band, or in your solo career now? You met these people.
Well, Tierney and I taught at the University of Southern California together.
Okay, at the university.
Yeah, and Kurt Elling and I have been on the same shows at the Hollywood Bowl doing.
And Kurt Elling, you met him where?
We were performing at the Hollywood Bowl together with the Count Basie Orchestra, along with a bunch of other people that were on the shows.
Oh, that's cool. So what about 1992? You released your first solo album, Finally Yours.
Finally Yours. And then I recorded, oh gosh, what was the other?
With Respect.
With Respect. And I've recorded a lot of albums, on a lot of albums. But those were, neither of those were big band albums. But worked with incredible musicians.
Do you play always with the same musicians? You have your band?
No, never the same. Never the same musicians. Because there's so many incredible musicians to work with. I want to work with everybody, But I have a new album coming out. It's a big band album, and it's with the Compass Jazz Orchestra. That was who I was performing with in New Orleans at the Gen Conference, and that will be out in the spring. And it's in tribute to Carmen McRae, and it's called Carmen Sings Carmen.
Okay, so talk to us about Carmen. Yeah.
You know what? She was absolutely lovely to me, and such an example through her recordings, through her live performance, was mesmerizing for me. Such a storyteller, such an impeccable musician. And I learned so much from her. But I'm writing a book, and I don't want to say
you were close to her. You were close to her.
I was not close to her. That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say when we were in the same room talking, things were she had a very fluid vocabulary, and each time I won't say she was my last conversation with her, I won't say she was scolding me, but she was giving me some advice about some things
Okay.
that I just
Okay.
cannot share.
Right.
But in my other experiences with her, when we were on the same jazz festival, she always asked how I was doing, what music I was singing. They all were very concerned about my arrangements. Were the guys treating me well? Was I happy? You know, just very positive. Everyone was very, very positive and very loving.
You see, when you explain all these things, it's always we have always around love and happiness, and
Yes.
that's a chance also, maybe because all these artists had a lot of talent, so they didn't have to prove something, just to
I
share.
don't think it was that. I don't think it was
No,
that.
no.
I was a young Black singer on the road with 18 men in an orchestra. Let's just be real now. You know what I mean? The women that I spoke with, Sarah Vaughan, Ella Fitzgerald, Carmen McRae, Nancy Wilson, were always looking out for me. Nothing to do with music. It was a female thing,
Right.
always first. And
Yeah.
of course, they asked, about my life and what I was doing in my life and everything, but they were coming from a mother
Yeah.
perspective. They were talking to me as a mom,
Because
Mhm.
they felt that you was alone, or
No, not at
they
all.
wanted to be sure that you was okay, you was
Yes,
happy.
as you would do to any young lady that you saw on the road that you were drawn to or felt like you needed to say something to or just wanted to see how they were doing. Yes, 18 men in an orchestra, you know what I mean? But they were all extremely polite. Like I said, Mr. Basie had already threatened their life. You understand? So there was no BS like that going on. There just wasn't. And you have to remember they were old. I was a young lady, right? I had, and I looked at them as my grandpas. They're my grandfather's age and my great grandfather's age. We had a few young guys, Clarence Banks, who was a trombonist that came after me, Dennis McCrell, who had come 3 months before me, the drummer, and a few that came later on. But it was these gentlemen were seniors
Did you met
when
the
I joined.
did you met the drummer, Duffy Jackson?
I did perform with Duffy. Yeah, a couple of years later. Yes,
I love
he
Duffy.
joined.
I
He
love
rejoined the
Duffy.
band. Yeah.
I play. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so a question about jazz education.
Okay.
Okay,
I
I
wanted to, I kind of wanted to find just one more thing out about what was the instrumentation? What kind of groups do you prefer to sing with? Do you prefer to sing with the big band? Do you like trios and quartets or quintets, or what's your favorite?
Well, I do so many symphony
Oh,
dates now. I do so many symphony concert dates
wow.
now that is my new
Wow.
love. I love it so much. I do prefer singing with a big band only because when I do trio dates, and I will say this, I people often ask me why is it you don't tour in Europe with a trio,
Uh-huh.
and my answer to that is the sets are too long that I'm being asked to do. I don't like singing a 75-minute to 90-minute show. I
Mhm.
don't want to do that. I'm exhausted by the end of that. And if I'm on a tour, even if I have a lot of instrumentalists playing solos, I don't enjoy that. I feel like whatever I have to say, I can do it in 60 minutes and let's move on. You know what I mean? I honestly feel like that. And that is the reason that I don't tour in Europe. I'm just not going to do a long set like that. I'm not doing it. I'm old now and I'm firm on that. I can do a 65 or 70 minute, but I'm not interested in singing all night, tune after tune after tune.
So you're a teacher at the university? You teach at the university? Oh no,
No,
no. You
I
sing.
resigned. I resigned from the university. I mean, from San Francisco Conservatory of Music. There is a possibility I might be joining the faculty as a jazz voice teacher in the very, 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 very near future. But I cannot say at this
In
time.
San Francisco, will you be going back?
I will not be returning to San Francisco. No, it's in another state.
Okay.
But I'm so looking forward to it. This is an opportunity that I have dreamed of out of all of the universities where I have been a professor. I've had the feeling that I could exhale at this school. I feel like I found my home, and they are in love with big band music. It's a priority there. And I'm just so excited. And that's all I can tell you.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
When you're teaching, are you forming their voices? I mean, really in vocal technique first, or is it repertoire, or is it a mix of two, or are you having them scat, or what?
Well,
teaching technique, I guess.
Well, you know what? When I meet with a student, what I want to hear is what I ask them to sing whatever they love, whatever their favorite songs are. And what I'm looking to hear is whatever they think is really hip, whatever that is, style-wise, runs and riffs, phrasing, whatever they think that is, that's what I'm listening for. Mm-hmm. Because it gives me an idea of where they are, what they think is cool, mm-hmm. and where to begin. That is my approach. That is my approach to it, because you have to know where somebody is, how they process things. You know what I mean? Everybody's not the same, and everybody's coming with their own ideas that they've worked on, what they thought was really cool and really great. So it's very important to me to know where they are, how many tunes they know, and then I make a judgment call on what I feel they should be singing. I bring the music to them. They don't choose the tunes. They can share with me what they'd like to do. But I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm doing, and I know what works. And at this point, I know what one is capable of singing, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And when you're at home, sometimes, what do you do? What do you like to do except singing jazz or Motown?
I watch movies.
If you want to relax,
I don't sing. I don't sing when I'm at home.
Okay, home. Well, okay, what do you do at home
I watch movies. I cook dinner for my husband. Cook a lot of dinners and put them in the freezer.
And your husband
he has stuff while you're on tour.
And your husband is a musician. He's a musician.
No.
Oh, good. No. So
been there, done that.
He waits for you at home and said, "Hello, darling, you are here."
Yes. Occasionally he'll come out on the road with me, but he's a.
You are married since a long time.
We've been married 22 years. Music, he's a big music lover, and very supportive.
Okay, so now the story is a future album. That's it.
The future album, the future.
When?
In the spring, in a few months, just a few months, it'll be released. And the teaching position, and I just won a Grammy with the Count Basie Orchestra.
Great.
From the album Basie Swings the Blues. Such a lovely, lovely album. And it was so great to be a part of that. And so there's a lot of incredible stuff going on. I'll still be touring, doing symphony dates. I just finished 2 weekends ago. I was with the Dallas Symphony. And this weekend, I will be with the Utah Symphony. And then the weekend after that, I will be with the Buffalo Philharmonic doing my the Great Ladies of Song album by myself. But the Dallas Symphony show was with Byron Stripling, jazz trumpeter and entertainer, vocalist and conductor Byron Stripling. And we had a wonderful tap dancer with us. His name is Leo Manzari. And that show is called Uptown Nights. And Byron and I have a show that we do together, and it's an Ella and Lewis show, basically.
Wow. Just a question. If you don't sing at home, when do you practice?
before I before I go out on the road. I practice.
Ah,
Usually at home. I like to do vocal rest. I practice before I leave. You know, I don't let 2 or 3 days go by without singing. Of course, if I've got an extended tour schedule, then I'll practice every single day in preparation for that, so my vocal stamina stays up.
okay.
For that endurance. And if I have many dates with the Count Basie Orchestra or another big band, I do the same. You know what I mean? If it's an extended tour, it can be exhausting. It's not easy to stand in front of 17 musicians and sing on top of a big band. You really have to have a big voice, and if you don't have a big voice, if it's small, it's still just as challenging. Big or small. But you really, your vocal stamina has to really be in place, because it's no joke, baby. It's no joke. Standing in front of big band singing 8 and 10 tunes a show, just one after another like that. The band is pumping, and everybody's pumped and excited, and tend to play a little louder sometimes. Where a conductor, that's where a great.
So when you arrive on the stage, we saw you smile all the time, but in fact, you're very, very concentrate.
I was so nervous. I never sing with sheet music in front of me, but I was so, I had been on tour, like I said, for 3 years and 5 months, and I did not have a chance to memorize all of the music from the new Carmen Sings Carmen album, and I didn't want to take a chance on messing anything up. So I was clinging to that music stand. Unfortunately, I only stepped out in front of it maybe twice to get through the tunes, but like I said, my stage fright thing, I tend to forget lyrics, and I write words on my arms. If I can't remember a few words, so you see me holding my arm out, but I'm really reading notes off of my arm.
Ah, okay.
But
Gilda, do you have any questions? Or
No, I'm just.
in fact, if singers watch this video, they will understand that it's a huge work to sing. It's
ooh, it's hard. It's hard work. It really is. You really got
but
to practice.
you know what? We three of us, we look happy.
Well, I am happy. You look happy. Yes. I love what I do.
Carmen,
Yes.
thank you very much for taking time to do this interview for Vue sur le Jazz International, and being
Thank you.
available for to us, because we understood that we are very, very busy, and Gilda too, and me somewhere too. So I hope to see you in France for a festival.
Or maybe Austria. I'll be in Austria, I think,
Oh
in 2 months.
no, Graz,
Yeah,
in Graz, where?
I think so.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll keep you
Yeah.
posted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gilda, for assisting me. Huh?
You're welcome. You didn't need me. I tell you, you did a great job, Christine. Great.
What a pleasure. What a pleasure to
Lovely to
meet with both of you.
Yes, it's
Thank
lovely
you.
to meet you, Carmen. It was
Thank
really
you, ladies.
Let's stay in touch.
See you soon
Okay.
on the planet.
Yes.
Thank-
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.